Hello everyone. So today I want to explain something that I think is going to be really important in the AI world going forward. This is called agent to agent protocol or A2A. Google announced this in April 2025, I guess, and within a year over 150 companies including AWS, Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, IBM, all of them have already adopted it. So I wanted to explore and learn more about this. So I built a project specifically to understand this, which I'll walk you through now. But first, let me explain what the problem is and why A2A exists. Imagine this. Imagine if you have five different AI agents, one built with ADK, one with LangGraph, one with CrewAI, one with Salesforce, and one from ServiceNow. Now they are all doing different things. Now you want them to work together. So the problem here is every framework has its own way of calling other agents. There is no common language between the agents. It's like five people in a room who all speaks different language, but they can't coordinate. A2A now solves this. It says first publish a card that says who you are and what you can do, then accept work at a standard endpoint, and that's it. Every agent follows these two rules. Any agent in the world can talk to any other agent if they follow these two rules, regardless of which company built it or which framework it uses. So A2A protocol, as I said, is one standard protocol for every agent. It's being globally accepted now. In order to implement or in order to let your agents talk to other agents using A2A protocol, you need to define an agent card. Consider it as a business card for that agent, which will tell other agents about what this agent, who you are, or what you can do. And then you can send task over HTTP protocol. Security is built in, so I'll talk about this later in the video as well. But if it's not like any agent can randomly go and talk to any other agent, A2A provides the security parameter as well. Uh, if you implement that, only if you are authorized, then you can contact that other agent. And as I mentioned, 150 plus organization have already accepted this. So let's look at agent card now. So this is what a typical agent card looks like, though you can add and other fields and entries in it as well. But in general, this is what it looks like. Let's look at this agent card in a little more detail. So if you see, so if you see in an agent card, you first define the name. So I created this basic example of how the agent card would look like. So suppose if there is a weather intelligent agent, if you see this agent card, so agent card, every agent card, you need to define the name. So I built this example of how a typical agent card would look like. So suppose if there is a weather intelligence agent, so you first define the name, then version of it, then there is a URL. Now URL is one of the most important part in this agent card. Basically, suppose if there are two agents, agent A and agent B. So URL is how agent A reaches the agent B. So suppose if this was an agent card of agent B. Now agent A wants to contact to this agent. So agent B mentions in its agent card that hey, if you want to contact or reach out to me, this is the endpoint where you can reach out to me. And once you've reached out, you can send your task over here in this particular endpoint. So at this particular endpoint, suppose the agent is deployed and you have defined this endpoint. At this endpoint, you need to implement function where the other agent, whatever task the other agent gives, you can catch that task and then implement it and give a response back. So URL is how one agent reaches to the other agent. Then you have something called as skills. So skills is how the other agents get to know that what this agent is and what it can do. As you can see, I have defined two skills. I've defined an array of skills, and the first skill is get current weather, and then a description, and then input mode and output mode basically means this agent accepts JSON and in the response, it will give back JSON as well. And then the other skill is get 7 forecast. Description, again, you need to define the description, and the input and output mode are JSON again. So you can define as many skills as you want for the agent. Skills is how the other agents would get to know what this agent is and what it can do. Then you have capability streaming. This is additional that you can add on to let other agents know that you can stream the response back. And then, as I was mentioning, security schema. So you need to define security schema so that not every agent can contact your agent and let your agent do the task. Only the one who have, so in this I have defined a bearer auth. So only one which has an auth token can contact you, a valid auth token can contact you once the agent verifies it, and then it will take your task and perform that task. So this is how, in general, how an agent card looks like. So the full flow is on how this A2A protocol works, that you fetch an agent card to discover what that agent can do and where to send work. Authenticate using whatever method the card declares. Send your task via HTTP post request. Track progress and get the result. So this is like the full flow. Now let's look at the project to get a better understanding of how all of this is working. So this is the overall project. So I've built a Codebase Explainer. So you give it any GitHub repository URL, it produces a complete onboarding guide for new developers. So what this project does is it will tell you whatever GitHub repo you have given, what that project is about, how the code is structured, which file to read first. So to do this, I built 3 agents, each using completely different AI framework. So agent 1, as you can see, is built using the orchestrator agent, is built using ADK. It takes the GitHub URL and calls the GitHub API to get the repository structure and uses Gemini to analyze the technology stack and architecture. So you pass on your GitHub URL to first agent which is the orchestrator agent built by ADK. It analyzes the repo and all the files in it, and then it calls agent 2, which is built using LangGraph. This is the code reader. LangGraph is great for loops, so it read files one by one, discover what each file imports, read those files too, and keep going until it's built a complete map of how the code connects. So once code reader, the second agent, has the complete information of what each file does and every single detail of it, then it uses again A2A protocol to call agent 3, which I've built using CrewAI. So I've built here a multiple team of AI agents inside CrewAI agent. Uh, the task of it is to write technical documentation and architecture and prioritize the most important files out of all of that. So the flow is very, very simple. You send a GitHub repository, a GitHub URL link to the first agent. The first agent, which is the orchestrator agent, reads all the files in it, creates a structured data in JSON file, sends that JSON file using A2A protocol to the second agent, which I've built using LangGraph, which is the code reader. Code reader looks at uh, the JSON file which has been given to it. It sees all the files name in that particular GitHub repository, and then it goes through each and every file to understand what the code base is. Once it has drawn the complete map of the complete GitHub repo, then it uses again A2A protocol, calls the agent 3 to explain it in a simple English and create a developer onboarding guide. So the result that you see after agent 3 is done its execution, you see a developer onboarding kit. So each of these agent has their own agent card, as I was mentioning before. Each of these agent has their own agent card, and at their own endpoint, they perform a certain task. So now let's look at the demo directly. So this is the project that I've built. Now, when I paste a GitHub repository, you can paste any GitHub repository. I chose this repository called Black. It is an open source public repository. Black is basically one of the most widely used Python code formatter. Now you see when I hit on analyze, the agent one, which is the repo mapper built using Google ADK, will get started and it will fetch using GitHub API. It will fetch all the files, all the file name and everything. And then it will use A2A protocol to connect with agent 2 and agent 3. Now let's see it in action. So when I hit analyze, you see it has fetched every single detail. Once it has all the detail, you'll see it will send the JSON file which will have instruction on what agent 2 needs to do. You see it sent that file. Agent 2 built using LangGraph got that file, is analyzing every single file that agent 1 has sent in that instruction, which is the JSON file. Once it is done analyzing, then you will see it will then again use A2A protocol and send a JSON file again with a set of instruction on what agent 3 needs to do. Now all of this is done using A2A protocol. As you see, it sent the JSON file here. Now this is the third agent. This looks at complete detail from agent 1 and agent 2 and creates the developer guide. For each of these, I defined agent card, and then I defined there an endpoint where I defined a function on how to catch any request given by any other agent and perform the task. So when first agent is contacting the second agent, it is first checking the agent card on what this agent can do. Then it is sending a set of instruction at the defined URL which was present in the agent card of this agent 2. The agent 2, when it receives the request, then it processes that request, starts the LangGraph agent, processes that request, and then creates a full response. Once it gets response, it is then calling the agent 3. Again, the same format. It first gets the agent card, gets to know the information, gets to know the URL at which this agent accepts the task, sends a JSON file. Now you see the agent 3 has done writing the onboarding guide. So it created three sections. First is the onboarding guide, which if you read, it's written in a completely simple, plain English. Anyone can understand. For any new developer, they can understand easily. It also created a data flow where it maps each file and what you need to do. And the third section is top 5 files. So if you have to get started with this repository, these are the top 5 files you should start with. So So in my project, I built 3 agents myself, but in a real world, imagine agent 2 is a service from Salesforce and agent 3 is a agent from ServiceNow. Because we are following A2A standard, my agent 1 can call all of them the same way. Fetch the agent card, get the URL, send task. That's the vision. An internet of AI agent, where any agent can hire any other agent and do the job. Just like we search for a service, find their contact information and call them. A2A is a phone book and a phone standard combined.